All right, guys, we are going to continue now in the series of submissions that every grappler should know. So we're here in Z-guard or knee shield here, okay? It's gonna be Z-guard, it's gonna be knee shield. We're gonna look at triangles today. So we're gonna look at a few entries. The prevailing theme here of any triangle entry, okay, is you need to isolate one arm and their neck here, okay? So we're taught a lot of times from closed guard here, we could just punch one arm in and shoot a triangle. In my opinion, it's not very effective, not very sort of statistically likely to happen. I think there's too many defenses the guy can go into. So better, in my opinion, is to get their weight driving forward into you. To do that, you hook onto their bottom ankle here with my bottom leg, butterfly hook, and I use this top knee shield either at their shoulder or down at their hip to manage distance of their chest relative to my chest. I take my left hand here and I look for either a collar tie or a tricep grip. I take my right hand and I monitor the other arm, that posting arm, either at the wrist, the elbow here, or at the shoulder. Let's look now at one of my main entries here. So we're gonna look for the wrist and the collar. We're gonna unhook our bottom leg, and as we kick our left knee shield through, we jump and pull at the collar, jump our right foot here over his shoulder, pull at the collar, and lock a trap triangle. Now we take our shin, close up the triangle, and then we're gonna look at the finishing mechanics next. Option number two, same setup here, we collar and wrist. Now we maneuver our left shin over the top of his bicep, scrape it out of the way, and then jump our feet over, trap triangle, grab the shin, close it up, and then look for the finishing mechanics. Option number three, instead of isolating this side of his collarbone with his right arm, we're gonna look to isolate the far arm. All right, so how do we do that? We're gonna start to, again, reach for the collar, but this time we're gonna post our knee in front here on top of our bicep and start to look to square off. Okay, we're gonna shimmy that bicep out of the way in that same fashion. This time we're gonna jump across the body like so, bump his tricep here with my right thigh, and fall to my left-hand side instead of my right-hand side. We grab the shin and look into the finishing mechanics. See those from the top here. Option one, collar tie wrist, jump the triangle straight forward. Option two, we shimmy that out of the way. Okay, we scrape his bicep out of the way and jump a triangle again on this near side. And option three, we jump a triangle on the far side, right? With that same action of scraping the bicep with our shin, we have three different triangles. All right, so now we saw a few nice entries. Let's look at the actual finishing mechanics once you do get your triangle set. So however you set it up here, we're into a triangle territory here. We grab our shin, lock up initial trap triangle, and then our goal here initially is to feed our ankle of the strangling leg, okay, the one connected to his neck. We want that ankle right here behind the pocket of our knee, not halfway up our calf or ankle. We want it right here behind our knee. Now, what is doing the strangling here is the compression of his two carotid arteries. So I have one artery here being blocked by my hamstring. You want to touch the skin of his neck with the skin of the back of your knee. Let's go this way a little bit. If you look here, if your triangle is locked and your knee is above his ear, there's a pocket of space here with your hamstring not connecting to his neck, you may get the finish, but you may find you're squeezing a lot. You have to pull the head, you have to finish and finagle your angle a lot. Your muscles are gonna be burning out. You're wasting a lot of energy, a lot of squeeze pressure. Instead, you need to lower your knee, so hip out, in this case to my left, lower your knee below his ear, physically touch the skin of his neck with the skin of your knee, so there's no space. Not even a piece of paper should be able to fit through the skin of his neck and the skin of your knee. Now, you pinch, you hide the shoulder on the other side. You don't want an exposed shoulder. You hide that shoulder, grab your shin, and now with very minimal effort, you should get a very tight strangle. That finishing mechanic setup, all those details also strategically increase the strength of this arm bar right here. If your shoulder, the guy's shoulder is out here, there's no pressure on the guy's throat here with your hamstring, the arm bar is also a lot weaker. If you do everything you can, you could post the elbow, you could pull that elbow up here, you could pull that up your body, you could post this elbow out, you shimmy your hips off, you lower your knee, you touch the skin of your right knee here to the skin of his neck, and close up that triangle. If for whatever reason that triangle is still not working, your arm bar is very tight here because his elbow is right there at your hip, supported by your left hand, and his shoulder here is locked in place by the triangle, instead of having a loose shoulder like so, where he can lock his hands together and give me more trouble. So from the top here, we have our triangle. Bring your knees in a little bit. We have our triangle locked, trap triangle. I'm grabbing my shin. What I can do to get the skin of my knee here behind, touching the skin of his neck, is I can underhook either at the tricep or at his leg. I like underhooking right here at the tricep. I take his hand off the mat. I raise my legs here, raise my feet, and I start to shimmy my hip out in that direction. I want to get this angle so that I'm perpendicular to his head. I look at the side of his head. Now I raise my legs up, and I make sure my knee is right there, close to his ear. The skin of the back of my knee is touching his throat. Then I pull my ankle down, right there behind his knee, right behind my knee. Make sure his shoulder is covered like so. Keep adjusting. And now with very, very minimal effort, you should be getting a very tight triangle. All right, guys, so I hope this helped. This type of triangle setups, as well as the finishing mechanics, have been very useful for me when I compete, when I train. They're, I think, a little bit different, maybe a little more finely tuned than how you may see them taught in your gym or in some instructionals. I found these details to be the key, fundamental, reliable points that you need to hit in order to get a strangle without using every ounce of force in your body. This works, in my opinion, also across different levels of flexibility, different levels of, how lanky you are, how short you are, how stocky you are, how tired you are too. Like, I think if you apply these techniques properly, whether you're tired or not, you should be able to structurally submit the guy with a strangle instead of just, a crank or having to fall back on the armbar or the kimura or whatever other follow-up you may get into. I feel like these techniques are reliable, sound, and can be very effective if applied correctly.